Good morning, Naecia.
Good morning.
So I love that you took the time to come on the podcast because the Dream Plan Execute podcast, I highlight and reach out to people that I believe who dream frictionless, plan thoroughly, and execute relentlessly. And you're someone that I know previously from high school who have exemplified that process of doing what you intend to do with your dreams and just executing at a high level. So let's just carry it back to how we met in high school in the art department. This is some time back,
Yes.
and let's just work our way through. How do you start at Arden, and where you've gone with your career and life so far?
So Arden was a really good incubator for a lot of creatives, I think. I think
I believe so. Yeah.
a lot of us have been succeeding in our careers. I am American by birth, so by the time I got to Arden, I was in the States for most of my life. Um it was a struggle at first until I got into the art department. Shout out Mr. Robinson,
Shout out, Mr.
uh,
Robinson.
Mr. Goldsmith. Those two in particular were very invested in my creative development, and they fostered me a lot. And I think they saw a lot of leadership qualities in me as well. So I
Mm,
was head of the art club graphics department after
right.
a while. Um, and I'm also pretty good at teaching as well. So I was able to teach a lot of kids how to draw. Um, so I fostered a lot of creativity. I was part of the choir at Arden as well. And then most of my friends, even if they weren't part of the art club or
Right.
part of the choir or dance, they were all like very creative people. Like Jonathan is pretty creative, and I still like Jonathan's my best friend today.
Ooh, Jonathan Nelson.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know Jonathan from primary prep school, and the reason why I know Jonathan is that he used to draw. He still does draw. And then I saw him drawing, and we used to just sit down and just draw together. And we did like stickman animation videos on the back of the school books. Jonathan and I go way back. So tell him hi for me.
I
You
will.
can- Yeah, actually, yeah, we used to walk down to Half a Tree together actually from high school because we went to the same high school too. So now it's good to hear that he's doing well and
Yes.
still in his creative endeavors. So when we met in or we were in class together in sixth form basically, right?
Yes.
That's when we had Mr. Robinson. Previously I was a golf student, and then Mr. Robinson did sixth form uh, artwork, and it
Yeah.
was just we had such a phenomenal time in the art department. I mean, you're
Yes.
talking about Natu, Michael,
Yes.
yourself. It was just a like you said, a springboard for a lot of creatives who continued their creative
Yes.
endeavors, right? And then from high school, you went on to Edna Manley for some time.
Yeah. So I took a few months off
Hmm.
to work at Edna Manley. Sorry, to work for Sagicor, and then I went to Edna Manley, and I switched my majors a few times actually in my first year.
Okay, right,
Yeah, so I was going for illustration, and then I wanted to do jewelry making for a second,
right.
and then I was like, no, I'll just do sculpture.
Gotcha.
I was interested in fashion at the time, but the department didn't seem to be a good fit for me, and I felt like I got more
Mhm.
freedom in sculpture, and so I
Okay.
could work with textiles in a sculptural way. So I just majored in sculpture at Edna. Ended up having to drop out though,
Hmm.
just for financial constraints
Yeah.
at the time, because I was supporting myself. Um, but it ended up working out.
Yeah, listen, the twists and turns of life, you look back and then this was, sculpt you into the person that you are, So, and it's like, just like with artwork, you start and you just have this blank canvas. And sometimes you make a mistake on the paper and it ends up being the highlight of
Oh yeah,
that artwork, right?
absolutely. Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
So it's just interesting that, ultimately, like when you came to Jamaica for high school, you were in the US first, right? How was that transition leaving the US, coming to Jamaica, and then eventually making your way stateside?
It was rough for me.
Okay.
Um, so like 20 years ago,
Right.
showing my age. Um,
Don't worry, I'm there too.
20 years ago, like I haven't really changed as a person. Society has changed though. But, being black and
Right.
queer and nerdy,
Hmm.
um, in the States was rough for me as a kid.
Okay.
Um, and so when I came to Jamaica, I experienced a different type of rough, but because it was predominantly black kids, I found my people.
Right.
And so the education system was hard to transition to just because I do have severe dyslexia and a speech impediment.
Mm.
Um, and so I used to get therapy for that while I was in school in the States. There's nothing like that at Arden yet.
Right.
Just because like learning disabilities is not a main part of Jamaica curriculum. And some teachers don't even understand learning disabilities because that's just not something that's taught in school. So it
Yeah.
was hard for me to transition in regards to academics. However, making creative friends or art friends
Yeah.
was a lot easier because like everyone around me looked like me. And it
Right.
wasn't that I was a black girl who liked to read. I was just a girl who liked to read. Um,
Yeah.
so that definitely helped build my confidence a lot. I don't think I would be where I am if I didn't experience Jamaica. And also, it's like a big part of my cultural experience. And I use that experience to inspire a lot of my artwork, regardless of what medium.
You touch on a lot of varying good points. So for me, I studied civil engineering, right? Part of getting into civil engineering is that you need to be good at math and physics, right?
Mhm.
And at Arden, from seventh to ninth grade, I was terrible at math. I mean, just bottom of the class, don't understand what's going on, thinking I'm going to fail all my CXC subjects. And it changed with one professor, Sheldon McDonald, and it
Oh,
literally
shout
was
out to
shout
Mr.
out.
McDonald. Yes, he taught me math too.
And I'm in his class, and there's something in his spirit recognize that I'm willing and able to want to learn. He's like, when I talk to him in the future, in the recent, he's like, I helped you because I always saw you with your T square. You were walking with purpose. You just needed some guidance with certain things. And he's like, how do you approach math? And I was like, yeah, well, in class, I understand what you're doing, and then I go home, I do one question and then I get stuck and then I just give
Mm,
up. And he's like, listen, it's like cooking. I'll stay the extra 15 minutes after class and just kind of guide you through the points where you get it wrong. But if you don't do the questions, I'm not helping you. You have to
mm,
attempt the question.
right,
And he's like, you're treating math like it's history where you can just read it and understand it. It's a practicing
right.
activity. And the moment that happened, it clicked. Other professors sometimes, to their own detriment, they were talented at the subject prior to them
Yes,
even teaching the subject. So they literally cannot conceptualize why you're bad at math.
yes,
Reason why Sheldon had the empathy that he had is because he also was bad at math and he figured out how to get good at math. So he knows the pain you're feeling when you're going through that. And sometimes teachers, just because they were so talented at what they did, they
yes,
don't make great teachers. They'll have made a better student or
right.
someone just doing the work versus teaching the work. So I understand how that feels. And, growing up in Jamaica and then living in the States, I find that economy is very interesting because, like you said, everybody around you is your complexion, right? So you don't really have that severe racial tension,
Yes, yeah,
right? But when you consider classism in there, you
yes,
still have the
yeah,
kids who have money, who don't have money. You still
right.
have the persons who like anime and like drawing and reading, and you have the jocks. You still had those different cliques,
Hmm, hmm.
and you just had to find your clique. So yeah, Jonathan has always been a talented artist, right?
Yes,
And so the art program for me was just like a haven to cultivate, and we were able to stay later than
Oh
everybody else.
yes. Oh
Everybody
yeah.
else, so you really spent a lot of time with these people, So that's something Jamaica has to work on, is the recognizing, because I also feel like for myself, I always was in extra classes. I always was
Mhm.
spending extra time figuring things out, and I just had patient teachers. I think
Yeah.
that comes from a prep school background. Maybe in a primary school they wouldn't be so patient,
Right.
and I might have not made it to Arden if I never had that patience. So
Yeah, I've been blessed with very good professors for like most of my life, like highly favored.
right,
From elementary school, I've been having good educators.
nice.
Like the first teacher that told me that I could draw. She I drew something and she was the one that told me keep drawing, and she framed my first drawing.
Wow.
And so like she fostered that, and then there was like Miss Goodley who taught me how to read, and like
Right.
that's a whole other journey. And so I've just had really good educators. I've been very blessed with good educators throughout my entire life. They do make a very big difference.
Make a big difference. I remember my mom, because I grew up in Jamaica with my mom. My dad lived in the States. And I would call her in class, and like I wouldn't call her outside the circles, and then they'd be like, Ramon's gonna be an artist. She's like, no, 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 you can't be an artist. Nah, nah. And it's like, Ramon's good at science. Yes, yes, yes. Science. That's what he needs to be doing. So there's that, how it is in Jamaica. He's
Yes.
a lawyer, doctor, everything else is like, eh.
Yes.
How did you deal with the dynamics of parents um wanting to tell you this is what I want you to do, and then being like, this is what I want to do?
So my parents are actually naturally creative.
Okay, nice.
Um, my dad was a graffiti artist in New
Oh,
York.
nice.
Um, mind you, I didn't know about him doing graffiti until I was in sixth form.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I had no idea that my dad could draw until sixth form. I was just being nosy one day, and I was going through his drawers, and I found his black book, and I was
Oh,
going through his black book, and I'm like, this is all like really good graffiti stuff. And I was like, Daddy, who did this? And he's like, yeah, oh, those are my doodles. I was like, doodles?
this is
What?
art.
I've been drawing my entire life, and he would critique my things, and I'm like, you can't critique my stuff, Dad. You're
Hey, what
like,
Yeah,
what you know? But I was like, ah, shit, he was right.
yeah, right.
Um, so, and my mom is also creative. However, when it
Mm-hmm.
was time to do sixth form, or sorry, CSEC,
Right,
that's when they're like, so what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, really?
right.
I thought, I thought we had a understand.
Understanding.
Yeah, and my mom's like, no, you can do art, but like for fun. You can do it for fun. You need to pick a career. And I was like, I cannot do anything else. Let me tell you, you don't want me doing anything else. You don't want me in the surgery room. You don't want me handling your law. Please let me draw. And so what I had to do with her, because she just couldn't understand where the money was coming from when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the creative field. Um, to her, like all she knows are starving artists. Like she's never heard of a wealthy creative person before. So
Right.
I had to do my own research, and I did a PowerPoint at the age of 16 to justify
Wow.
why, no, 14. I had to do a PowerPoint at the age of 14 of why I should be a creative. And so I gave like my reasons. I gave her different creative jobs in the industry and their salary point. Then I showed her what subjects I needed to accomplish that, the possible colleges that I can go to. And then I ended my PowerPoint, and she's like, well, she saw that I did so much research on it already. She was like, okay, you could be a graphic designer.
That's that's a gem, because I find, especially in those formative years, parents innately they're trying to protect you from what we're going through. You got
Yes.
bills, you got stuff to take care of. You have family who's asking you for money, and you want to find the money, you want to help, you want to take care and buy homes and do things. And if you don't necessarily have the financial bank to do so,
Yeah.
it's very hard and life becomes very hard. And they're trying to protect you from that. Problem with most Caribbean parents or parents in general, they don't explain. They
Yes.
just tell you, right?
Yeah.
If you gave a more delineated explanation of why you're doing what you're doing, then just do it. It
Right.
would help the child understand. But what you did, which was masterful, is you took it serious and you actually presented where most persons would just, no, this is what I want to do, and you're trying to, capture my life, and you're trying to stop me from following my dreams. But you're like, okay, you have a friction point here. I'm gonna iron it out for you. I'm gonna
Right.
show you in steps why I'm doing what we're doing. For me, I initially wanted to be an artist. My parents weren't having that. They were like, listen, you ain't doing that art stuff, and I'm not going to school for that. So you got to figure something out. But the approach I went is like, let me see if I can find a happy medium where we can handshake on. I was like, well, I like art, but also like, the artwork that I can actually use and make what I would say the parents get pushed back was
Mm.
architecture, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
a
Right. Right.
profession, you have to get a license, but I can still be an artist.
Right.
How about architecture? They're like, okay, well, if I need to do architecture, I need to do technical drawing, I need to do art, I need to do math, I need to do physics, building construction.
Right.
And at that point, they kind of was like, all right, you can go down that road, right? We can agree that you can do art
Yes.
because it's tied to architecture. As long
Right.
as you do architecture, and somewhere along the line, I got more confidence in math. And then my dad was like, "Well, listen, architecture is very specific. If you do engineering, you could get into architecture. You could
It's
do
true.
engineering, and then possibly in the future you could work at a bank because they like engineers for the way they think and approach things." I was like, "All right, whatever, I'll do it." And that's how I ended up where I am now. But I love that you presented to them. That's amazing.
Thank
Like, so now you presented to them. You got through Arden. You
you. Hmm.
started at Edna Manley. You went through a couple of transitions there,
Hmm.
and then what was your transition back to the States and then following and pursuing fashion?
So I came back to this. I did Edna Manley. There was like
Mhm.
a bunch of things I did in between
Right.
um, Edna Manley and getting back to the States because I got
Yeah.
back to the States 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So most of my time has been in Jamaica.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I came back to the States. My little brother decided that he wanted to go to high school here
Hmm.
because we're all American citizens, but he moved down when he was 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
He's been spending most of his life in Jamaica, so he went to experience American education. I think he thought it was going to be like High School Musical,
Hmm.
and it's not. Um, and I feel like a lot of people that grow up in Jamaica feel like America's painted in gold, and the
Right.
rivers run with honey and milk, right?
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
actually really rough up here.
Yeah.
So he was having a really, really hard time, and I also legally had to be up here for guardianship as
Okay.
well. So I just gave a 2 week notice.
Gotcha.
My
Wow.
job. I did not have a plan or a backup or anything. And I just came up here to the States and just like hyper focused on him for a while.
Gotcha.
After the first year, I was like, I need a degree to work in the States because I could get away with not having a degree in Jamaica because they're more focused on your skill. But
Right.
in the States, they do want you to have that piece of paper. So I was like, well, what do I want to do? I was like, I love costume design. And I chose costume design in reality because I didn't think I could do fashion.
Hmm.
And I felt like I came up with like a lot of excuses why I wasn't right for fashion and why it wasn't for me. But the real reason was because I was just scared and I didn't think I was good enough and I didn't see anyone in the industry that looked like me.
Right.
And so I'm like, clearly that's not a space for me. Um, and so I would told myself, I can do costume design. The projects are short term. So like I'll never be bored because I can always just go to a different project. while like working with the fashion company or developing your own brand, you're not telling a moment or capturing a moment in time. You're telling a continuous story. And I was like, I'm a horrible storyteller. That's a lie. I'm a
That's
great
a lot. Yeah.
storyteller. But and so I went to SCAD, Atlanta,
Okay.
Savannah College of Art and Design for anyone that doesn't know. And I majored in fashion. The costume design major is based in Savannah. However, I was raising a child. So I couldn't just get up and go to
Mhm.
Savannah. So what I did, I asked my professors, I want to do costume design. Can we just change or pivot the projects to costume design topics? That way I can develop my portfolio. And I started doing that from SCAD. It was in 2022. It was the year of 21. I got an internship with Kohl's and Simply Vera Wang.
Okay.
So like Vera Wang has a license that she gives to Kohl's. And so it's working with the Vera team and the Kohl's team. And like there's this really happy medium. I did the Kohl's internship for coaching reasons. And also I just wanted to see if I could get an offer in fashion.
Okay.
Um, and it was amazing. I really liked it. It taught me a lot. Um, but it also taught me that this wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, the licensing
Mhm.
fashion design. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I will just stick to costume design. I entered a competition. I entered a lot of competitions. I entered a lot of competitions, mostly for um financial reasons to get scholarships and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um I got rejected by one and I became immensely spiteful after that. And I was like, there's no way that you could possibly say no to me. Because I saw the winner and I looked at my work and
And
I
you
was
know
like,
your work is better.
yeah. And I was like, I'm going to make you regret not making me win that competition.
Yeah. Yep.
So I entered everything. Everything possible. Because I'm like, you're gonna know my name. Out of
Right.
pure spite. Out of pure spite. So I entered FSF, um, which is Fashion Scholarship Fund. My professor convinced me to do it, Sarah Collins. I was
Okay.
not going to do FSF because to me, I felt like the project was too intense.
Okay.
And she's like, no, 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 no. Like you can do it. She showed me previous projects, and she's like, you got this. It's not that hard. Um, so then I was like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll do it. Turned it in, and like forgot about it.
Right.
Um, FSF has up to like 150 winners every year, right? So
Some.
there's different, yes, there's different ranks of winners. So like the lowest rank you get $7,500.
Right.
And then there's like other scholarships. You can get 10 grand, you can get 15 grand, so on and so forth. But in my head, I was like, oh, I'm just trying to get my foot through the door. And I'm like,
Right.
I am interested in this fashion thing. Like, I need to stop fighting it. Professor Fran also was like, are you sure you want to do costume design? Like, you can, but are you sure you want to do costume design? And I was like, I don't know.
So I have something to add to that because when I used to see your artwork at Arden, a lot of the times the way you drew ladies or the way it looked like someone in fashion. Like it had a fashion esque feel to it. So it's like you going through the story and you're like you didn't think you're in fashion. I think everybody else around you probably saw you going into fashion. 'Cause that's what I honestly thought. When you got into fashion, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm just like reliving in my like all our artwork looked like something from fashion. It's like a crossover chic
Yes.
fine art slash fashion esque, and I love that about your artwork. Right, that was like your style, you know. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. So to hear you go through the story where you're like, I'm not sure if I should be in fashion. Everyone else, I think, saw you being in fashion. So very
Yeah,
interesting.
I remember that too because I remember an ex of mine like you should do styling. Like why? And I was like okay, and I started styling. But once
Right.
again, just like oh, these are clothes that someone else made, and I'm just putting them together.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, I'm just learning not to fight it anymore and accept my fate. So
Yeah.
wherever I'm going, because I didn't think I was going to do luxury fashion either, and I've done 2 luxury fashion internships. So I'm like, okay, maybe luxury fashion is where it's at for me.
It's interesting because I think you're finding your ikigai. So ikigai is a Japanese philosophy, right?
Mhm.
It's like four circles that would make up a Venn diagram, and in the middle of that Venn diagram is ikigai, which is the four circles is what you love, what the world needs, what you get paid for, and what you're passionate about, right?
Mm,
So when you find your passion, when you find what the world needs, what you get paid for, the cross section of that is your ikigai, and so you're finding it like
yeah, I love that. I need to write that down.
yeah. So it's ikigai. There's two Japanese concepts I love that I carry myself with is ikigai and kaizen. So yeah, Kaizen is continuous improvement. So incremental steps to the overall goal, even if it's just 1% a day, it adds up over a long time period. So
Sorry,
no worries.
because if I don't write it down now,
Well, it's good that so it sounds like you have a system that you do with making sure you have yourself in order, right?
yeah,
So like for instance, everyone, I think, at this point in our junction in society with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we all have ADHD like symptoms or actually have ADHD. I don't think the data is out yet how the phones affect us and it could give us symptoms of it or it is giving it to us yet, but we're specimen X, so they'll figure it out in 30 years what the phone is
right,
doing to our head.
exactly. It's too
So
late.
how do you go about like dealing with like because all great creatives and great entrepreneurs they have ADHD, right?
I
And
do.
they also they consider it a two-sided sword. It is their gusto. It's what brings the creativity out of them, but it also is intimidating and it also can pull you back and give you challenges with operational stuff. So how do you go about like hurdling the difficulties of having ADHD?
Before I got medicated, it
Right.
was difficult. Um, there is a system that I have.
Okay.
A lot of things are color coded.
Okay.
I have notebooks for almost every single topic. So I have a notebook because like my memory ADHD, you get really also like, with dyslexia.
Yeah.
My RAM is non-existent. You see me?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's my ROM is huge. I can remember a lot of things,
Right.
but if it doesn't get to my ROM, it doesn't exist at all.
Right.
So I'll have different notebooks, and I'm color driven. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll have different colored notebooks for different topics. So one notebook is for fashion development, one notebook is for illustration ideas, one
Okay.
notebook is for, I have a notebook for each internship that I've had where I write down notes. I have a sketch notebook, which is like a tiny one. I have a brand notebook. So I keep everything compartmentalized so I can remember where it is. Because if I put everything in one large notebook, I'm not gonna find it. I'm not gonna find it. Never gonna
Right.
happen. Also having a routine,
Yeah.
is very important. I think for people with ADHD,
Mhm.
the first 21 days to a month are the hardest. But if you have a routine of, okay, this is the time I wake up, I take a shower, I get my coffee or whatever you need in the morning, and have everything set up the
Yeah.
night before. Um, so for me, if I know that I have a particular class or if I have my job, I pack the night before.
Okay.
I do everything the night before. In regards to my creative process, I do have a system, and because once again I'm color driven, most of my stuff starts off with color. I start with color first, and then I do a lot of research, and I'll have a document for my research, and then I'll have a sketchbook or a few pages of my sketchbook. Then I'll look for some textbooks for information as well. And then I will actually keep track of all my sources and my
Gotcha.
documents. And then I will have my Pinterest as well. So every time I use a picture, even if it's my picture, I'll upload it to Pinterest on a private board to remember the source. So if I can't remember, because I don't use Pinterest to look for pictures all the time because the algorithm is going to push out the same thing to everyone. So
Right.
the images are not going to be very unique. But I do use it to keep track of where I'm sourcing something.
Okay.
So I do that as well. I utilize and take advantage of the hyperfixations.
Yes.
And so like if I'm in a mode, I make sure that everything gets done while I'm in that mode.
Right.
And like take advantage of that. And I'm also learning when I'm not in that mode, it's okay to take a break.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yes,
important.
it
Yeah.
is. I eventually got medicated. Um,
Okay.
that has helped a lot. It
So
has.
what do you feel the medication do? Is it that it allows you to take care of the little minute task is more quickly? Like how do you feel different medicated than or does it give you more working memory? Like how does it
Yeah.
feel being medicated?
So if I'm not mistaken, ADHD means that you're just lacking in serotonin
Yeah.
and
And dopamine.
dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never knew I had brain fog my entire life until I started
Mm,
taking meds. And then
gotcha.
I took Adderall for the first time.
Right.
And I looked at my computer screen and I saw everything. Because
Right.
usually I will miss certain things and I have to like go back and check my work multiple
Hmm.
times to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Right.
First time I saw everything on my screen and I cried because I didn't know that's how everyone else was operating. Like I didn't know that's what everyone I thought people had brain fog like I did.
Right.
And so when it cleared, I was like, is this what everyone else is functioning on? That's not fair.
Right.
Um
Yeah.
it helped with that. It also helps relieve my anxiety because
Mm,
ADHD you have time blindness.
right.
And so I can hyperfixate on one aspect of a piece of work for 4 hours
Yeah.
when I could have utilized that time a lot better and come back to that part that I had a problem with. With the ADHD meds, I was able to be more conscious of my time usage.
Hmm.
And because of that, I felt less anxious about getting things done because I was able to do things in a timely manner. And it's also helped relieve the pressure of getting things perfect.
Okay.
Because now the anxiety has gone down, I'm able to like think clearly. And I'm like, you know what? If I can't get it to my best, at least I can get it good and just turn it in. But with
Right.
ADHD, I would hyperfixate on it and try to become a perfectionist with it. So that's how the meds have helped a lot.
Oh, that's amazing because a large portion of my life I also consider I think I have ADHD, but my job function doesn't lend well for it, right? As a
Mhm.
project manager, it's literally you're fighting the parts, it's everything that would an ADHD person should not be doing, right? So like so as a project manager, you manage schedules, you are like you're like a Swiss Army knife of a project team, right? Because you need to know accounting, so I do requisition, financing, right? You need to know legal because you are writing and organizing contracts, right? You need to do schedules because you're delineating schedules and making schedules, and you are the orchestra leader. You are the time on the project, right? So the same way the orchestra, you have your violinist, you have your pianist, but you are the time, you are the clock, you are when
The
this person starts and when this person ends. So all of that, and then at some point in my life, I'm like, there's just something that's not clicking. I just feel like this comes easy to everyone in my industry, and this becomes like a burden. And it just feels very difficult. Of course, when you get your hyper focus, no one can stop you. You're like
right, right.
running through work, and then you find that my industry is a lot of pressure to meet dates. And
Mm.
of course that helps because the moment that adrenaline hits you, you can get stuff done.
It's
But if unless there's like a gun to your head and like there's like fires trying to out everywhere, like you find your ways just like chilling when you know you're not supposed to just
yes,
relax, right? You know this needs to get done,
yes.
but you find yourself just like you just feel stuck, right? So the Kaizen approach helped me a lot.
Mm,
I'm not medicated at the moment, but I find that I have structure in a way that helps me. Like instead of first stop beating myself up about it. That's like, listen, like it is what it is. You could have
right.
been born in Vietnam and get your leg blown off. You just happen to be in a first world country and you have to deal with ADHD. Life could be worse. So
Right.
the moment I lift that burden off me, it's like you need to find an approach, right? Well, guess what? Even though you don't like doing it, just do it, right? Because
Yep.
there are things you do without liking to do. You woke up this morning, I woke up this morning. It didn't matter if we were tired or angry or sad. We're going to brush our teeth.
Yes. Yeah.
So there obviously somewhere in your head there's a part of your brain where you do things that are mundane and boring and it doesn't cause you pain or
Yes.
struggle. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do the things, even though I don't like it. I'm just gonna get it done. It's gonna be what it is because later is more stress, and later is you're forcing yourself into hyper focus. And what happens if it doesn't hit? Right?
Right.
What happens if you're banking on the hyper focus and it
Right.
doesn't come in? Right?
Right. Right.
So I was like, that's helped a lot. That helped me just be a little bit more sharp with certain things. And what I also found with ADHD is ADHD people blink a lot. You do a lot of blinking. Like literally, and if you track a movie, like you ever watch a movie over and you're wondering how you missed like this scene in the movie?
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm. Naturally, majority of people miss 10 to 15 minutes in a movie just on blinking.
Mm,
So naturally, if you are have ADHD and you blink twice as much as people, guess what's gonna happen?
I miss a
You're gonna
lot
miss
more.
you're gonna miss a lot more. What Adderall does for us is that allows you to keep your eyes open more. So that's why when you got on it, you're like, I'm seeing more. You literally are
I
seeing more.
see.
You're thinking less, right? So no, I like that you developed a system and you worked with your system and then got made because like you go to Jamaica and you tell people like they're like just do the work. You know, no one understands these
No,
neuro
guys.
diversion,
They need to
divergent
say done.
thoughts. Right.
Yes, man. Yeah.
So no, that's good. So let's just like circle it back to know you're going into the scholarship fund or you're going after this fashion scholarship fund. You applied to it. What was the sequence and steps to get you to the being a winner? Because you ended up winning. So let's carry it back.
Um. So this is hilarious. So I was working with it with several professors,
Yeah.
and one professor, God bless him, he was trying his very best to get through to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was like, "You need to learn how to talk to people in layman's terms."
Mm.
Um, and I'm so happy he did that because I was presenting my project and like crickets in the classroom. Like people did not understand what I was saying. Now, professor understood what I was saying, and any other industry person would understand what I'm saying, but my classmates were not getting it. And
Right.
so one of the things that we did was refine the project before I turned it in to make sure that it was readable regardless of what industry you came from.
Mm.
Because I had a lot of jargon in there, and he's just like, yeah, this is cool and all, and it's good to have this when they ask you a question,
Right.
but when it comes to reading it, like they're not, no one's, not everyone's going to be able to process what you're saying.
Okay.
So we refined it. I worked with some coaches. We turned it in. Once again, I didn't think I was going to get top four at all. Honestly, I didn't know there was a top four. And if they had told me during a time where I am riddled with like social anxiety that I was going to be a top four winner, I'd be like, actually, no, I don't want to enter this. Um, because I have it doesn't show because I'm really good at hiding it, but I have a
Right,
lot of social anxiety.
right,
Um, so we turned it in. I forget about it because I have other work to do.
right.
And then I get a call from my Tinley, who's like the coordinator, like scholarship coordinator on our in our department for fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls me and she's like, "You are a Virgil Abloh scholar, and Virgil saw your work before he passed."
Wow, wow, that's
And
big.
I cried so hard. I cried so hard. And then I got that was one day. I think the next day or the day after that, because I'm reeling, right? Like I'm a Virgil Abloh scholar. This is a huge accomplishment. I'm done. Like I don't need anything else. They called me
Right.
and told me, "Hey, you're top four." And I was like, "What does that mean exactly?" And so they told me that top four means the top highest scores throughout the entire competition. So
Wow.
it doesn't matter, not necessarily top in your category, because there's four different categories:
Okay.
um, product development, marketing, supply chain, and business plan, I think.
Nice.
So top four is not necessarily top four of each category, but top overall score. So if all the scores are from marketing, then it's all marketing top fours. So they're like, you got one of the highest fours. After that, it was a lot of coaching because I had to present my case study to industry experts.
Wow.
So I had two speech coaches that was running through my presentation constantly. I had
Nice.
a visual communicator that was refining my presentation. We worked on like gestures, articulation, timing, highlighting certain things that were important, practicing on my elevator pitch. So
Right.
like once I see people in person, I was able to communicate that. And this is over a span of 4 months.
Nice. Okay.
Um, so once I practiced that, the day of the case study, I came into school around 9 a.m. I'm trying to remember when this was. I think it was in the evening that the case study I was presenting the afternoon. I
Right.
came in the morning and I practiced for like 5 hours.
Nice.
I just repeated it for 5 hours. Um, Even though I had the coaches and I've gone through this presentation so many times, I made sure I was standing instead of sitting. I made sure I have like a chair behind me that wasn't seen, but like would stop me from rocking because I have a tendency to rock.
Right.
Um, and I went through the presentation. I answered the questions of the judges. Um, and once again, because I knew everything about this project so intimately, answering
Hmm.
questions was really, really easy. Um,
Nice.
it's because I'm an overthinker too. I overthink everything.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's just the nature of a creative process. I think most creatives are deep and wide thinkers.
Yeah.
That's why they can come up with things that are not seen before because they're drawing from a lot of different places. So,
Yes, exactly. So there are things where I legitimately thought about like, how am I going to manufacture this product? And
right.
how much is it going to cost? Who's the like? And they didn't really ask for those things, but it's things that when I was designing, I was like, okay, I can't have certain elements on this because their product range for collaborations is from this price point to this price point, and I know that if I manufacture this, it's going to take the price point too high. So realistically, Nike's not going to be able to produce it, and even
Wow.
Van Herpen is not going to be able to get a profit from it. So I can't do that.
Hmm.
Um, and I looked at like their annual reports. I looked at white spaces, so I was able to answer a lot of the questions. We went to the gala.
Hmm.
There was another speech that you had to do, which is giving your backstory and like how you got into fashion. So
Okay.
even though we presented that case study, we still had to practice our scripts.
Right.
So I practiced my script. I got deathly sick. I am very allergic to pollen.
Okay.
I didn't know at the time that the pollen was making me sick, but I got really, really sick, and I did not memorize my script at all.
Okay.
So I was just out of it. And so the the day before, I was like, I can't remember this, and I was like, um, one of the speech coaches, Tiff, if I'm not mistaken, I was like, I can't. I don't know if I can do this, and she's like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And I was like, okay. So the night before, I just kept reading it over and reading it over, and I was like, it's fine. You're good. You're fine. You're good. Um, I remember I got introduced by Tremaine Emery,
Right.
was crazy. Uh,
Right. For the audience who doesn't know that, just kind of give them who Tremaine is, so they can have an idea who this
yes.
person.
So Tremaine is the creative director for Denim Tears, and also the former creative director of Supreme.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
Fun story, completely unrelated, but kind of
Hmm.
related. I was running late to get dressed because
Right.
um I hire a woman of color. And so I can't just wear my ear down like a little,
Right.
not
No,
gonna
it's not
happen.
nowhere.
They're like,
Yeah.
you have 45 minutes to get ready. I was like, no, that's not happening.
Right.
There's no way that I'm gonna be able to beat my face and do my
Right.
hair in 45 minutes. It's not happening. So when we got to the venue, I was like half dressed and my makeup was like halfway done.
Okay.
But like we got there earlier than everybody else, so I wasn't expecting to see anyone. But
Hmm.
Bustakana and there's Tremaine sitting down on his phone and he looks up at me and I'm like mortified because I look like a whitewashed.
Right. You're like halfway into your sequence of getting ready. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So like I just have the foundation. There's no blush, contour, nothing. So I
Yeah.
look like a naked mole rat. And I just told him, don't look at me. I'm not
Yeah.
human. And just like scurried off to the bathroom, which is like mortifying.
Right.
And then I saw him later, and I was like, "Hi, I'm human now. Nice to meet you."
Yeah. I'm sure you got a good laugh out of it.
I'm pretty sure. I'm still embarrassed by it, but he introduced me, which was extremely powerful, and he
Right.
spoke about me like he knew me intimately, and to the point people asked me, "Oh, how long have you known him?" I was like, I've met this man today," but
I think you met. I just think in that sharp moment, he was able to gather a lot from you. So
he's such a
I think it helped his speech actually, if you think about it. So,
yeah. He's a very intuitive man. He
mm,
really is. Um, so I gave my speech. I killed it.
yeah,
Um, and then after that, they told me I won. And I honestly, once again, I didn't think I was gonna win. So I was sitting down drinking champagne, looking off into the distance.
right,
And I heard someone call my name, and I was like, "Huh?" And they're like, "Naecia Dixon is the winner." And I was like, "Oh!" And I kind of just threw my stuff to someone. I have no idea who got my phone or my purse. I
right,
still can't find that purse today. I don't know where it is. So I gave my acceptance speech, which I did not really plan for because
right.
I wasn't actually expecting to win. I thought Fetchy was going to win, which is
Okay,
another beautiful, black, talented woman who's
right.
actually in STEM, but she decided to do fashion for a hot second.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I saw her presentation when you were giving your online presentation. Yeah, no, she was sharp. She was a
yeah,
sharp
she
one.
was really good.
Yeah,
All of them were really good, but I was
yeah,
definitely enamored with Fetchy a lot.
right,
So I thought she was going to win. And she has a beautiful story too, beautiful family.
right.
Um, I'm definitely a fangirl of hers.
Hmm.
So I thought she was gonna win. So when they told me, I didn't think.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you're not giving yourself enough credit. I mean, you are, you're pretty good. You're very good. Like,
Working on it.
yeah, so because you are very good, that's the reason why they chose you, right? So there's also a good book you could read about that. It's called Trust in Yourself. and it is about what you call sensitive strivers. So
City strivers.
yeah, so a sensitive striver is someone who is innately very empathetic, but they also are, they have a striving sense of them, so they can get burnout because they can feel what the other person is feeling, and they know where they're coming from. So they always wanted to help. They always wanted to. It's hard to keep lines and boundaries, and keep things. Yeah, don't worry.
First of all, I don't appreciate you reading me and recording it. Um, don't come from my neck. Respect. I'm a sensitive person.
No, don't worry. I have the book. I had to get it for myself. I think I still have it. If I walk from here, I can grab the book right now. But like, it's a good book because I find myself to be very. I can read. So part of my strength of being a good project manager is you go through a range of people. You meet like professional engineers who've been engineers their whole life, right, and have the smugness of an engineer and an architect, right. You're dealing with the owner, and then I take their drawings and their ideas, and then I have to go to tradesmen who work in blue collared areas, who came from a blue collared background. They're smoking cigarettes and they're getting stuff done, and I have to find a way to connect with this person in a way that wants them to want to work with me, even though we're from different backgrounds, right? So, and especially, I'm in Minnesota right now, right? Large majority of the time, I'm like that one black person on the job site, but I'm the project manager, right? How
Mhm.
do you get someone who is 45, older than you, white from a different area, who probably knows more about their job function than you to want to work with you? It's
Right.
by having that strength of being able to read people. I do all the safety trainings on my job site, and I don't even I go at it in a way where I paint the real picture. Like, listen, if you get injured on the job site, the sad reality is that there's someone's gonna come and replace you on the job site. Don't get injured not because I'm behind you trying to get you to do this and put on your hard hat and I'm the boss type deal. It's because if you get injured and we go into a recession, your money is tied to you being able to physically work. You
Right.
don't work in a position where you can work from home.
Right.
And at that moment, I can see it clicks with the person, right? Like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, okay, so you're not just doing the safety training just to flex your power. You're letting me
Right.
realize the steps behind what happens if I get injured. And so far, knock on wood, I haven't had any severe injuries on my job site, mainly because I just find that that's my superpower. I can connect with people's heart. I can just read a room. I can read people. And before they even 10 minutes into it, I've already have a summary of who the person is and what they're good at, what they're not good at, what I need to do to make to drive them. So don't worry, it's your superpower. Don't feel ashamed of your superpower. It's a good thing.
I am very good at reading people,
I
and
know that.
I connect hardcore with you on that.
Yeah.
I've I'm learning not to. So I'm also autistic. I got
Okay.
recently diagnosed. I'm high functioning, and even using the word high functioning is sometimes dubious for
Mm-hmm.
people on the spectrum. Uh, but I read very, very well. I'm really good at
Mm-hmm.
reading behavior. And so I can clock a person um pretty well in
Okay.
like the first 5 minutes. But the amount of information that I can gather in 5 minutes, sometimes if you tell a person too much, they're like, "Are you watching me? Watching me?"
Right, right,
I'm
yeah.
like, "No, you're just in front of me and like all the information is coming at me, but I'm not purposely trying to watch you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just so hyper aware of my surroundings and you're part of my surroundings. So I'm gathering that information so I can make, and then because I need to be able to react to you properly, I need
Right.
to read your temperament. So no, I'm not trying to like watch you and like, analyze you. No, it's just you're just in front of me. But
Yeah,
I've gotten better of like not telling everything that I
of course.
observe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because some people they never met somebody who could just in 5, 10 minutes tell them their life story without
Right.
knowing their life story. So it's like it's also like a shocker, like to them on their side, like did I say something that I wasn't supposed to?
Right.
How does this person know all this info? So yeah, you kind of give the information out in bite-sized pieces. But yeah, no, it's your superpower. So just tap into it.
I'm gonna get this book.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll even link it to you. It's a great book. I love it. It's and it has pages where you can. The person who wrote it is a sensitive striver. She
Mm,
found that out in her career. Um, she recognized that it is also like a genetic trait
mm.
that people have, right? So some people just naturally have a more empathetic
Yeah, my
nature,
mom
and
is
they're
very
in surviving the wildlife. It was the thing that kept humans alive because they were always the ones like, hey, hold up for a second, should we, they're thinking it through from the
yes,
beginning to the end.
yes.
And because they take on so much and they usually rise to the top of a lot of companies, but there's a sticking moment where you got to set boundaries. You got
Mm,
to like not take on the world, not feel like if you don't do it, it's just going to fall apart and people are going to hold it to you, hold a gun to your head, like, how could you type deal.
next
And
next topic.
And so the moving from moving from surviving to thriving is you have to make that adjustment. So the way I make that adjustment in myself is like I am an employee for a company, but I'm an entrepreneur versus an
Yes,
entrepreneur.
yes, yes, yes. I agree with this.
So I'm always advocating for Rum on Parchment LLC at all times, right? I provide you good service and you provide me good pay. That's it. I'll do the service. I have no problems. And when the moment you start thinking of yourself as a business, that's what
Mm,
Jay-Z did. That's the difference between him and other rappers is he saw himself as a business. The moment you see yourself as a business, it makes negotiating a lot easier because
mm,
if you were an entrepreneur, you would have to negotiate price.
right,
If you were an entrepreneur, you would have to provide good service to get back your client. In
right,
this case, your client is your boss or your other persons you work with.
right.
And I produce good work, and just like LeBron James or any other athlete who does well, they get paid and compensated for doing excellent work. And there's this concept called the Pareto distribution. So So it's like a mathematical concept that no, there's if you had 10 rivers, the longest rivers are like the only two of them is the longest and they're longer than all the other rivers combined. If you have 10 employees, only 2 employees do majority of the work. And it
Mm,
becomes more and more like that. The more employees you have, if you have 100 employees, it's only maybe 20 who are like the killers. And same thing with wealth disparity in certain areas. Like certain people are just going to have a lot of money, and others are just not
yeah,
going to have. It's always been a parade of distribution with a lot of things, and I work on always being on the end of the parade of distribution that I want to be on. Right. So that's making incremental 1% gains each day. So I don't need to beat myself up today because I have tomorrow to make an incremental adjustment. And if I keep making incremental adjustments for a long period of time, you'd be
yeah.
surprised how far you can get. So it just takes the weight off you, and then you get into your flow state.
Got it.
So
Thank you. I'm learning a lot
not
today. This is fire.
no, of course. That's why I liked the podcast because I learn a lot from my guests. And I hope that I can help my guests with things that I know, and I think that's a large majority of what we miss in a social media society is the things that make you human is human connection and
Yes,
reaching out and
yes.
having that like one of the greatest things about being in high school is how much connection you had with people
Yes,
walking past people.
yes.
The older you get is the less you have people around you, it's the less you feel like you're growing.
Yeah,
and you do release feel good drugs in your head when you have a deep conversation. I think it's serotonin. It's either serotonin, dopamine, one of the feel good drugs when you have a
Yeah.
strong connection with someone. So no, it's dope. So let's carry you back to you're on the stage, right? You're about to you're about to accept this award. You know at this point you're going to be going to internship. What was the project? Let's talk about the project. What was your project? Because obviously, if you won, it must be something that was interesting. Let's talk about the details of your project, and then just roll into your internship and how that was.
So the project was a collaboration between Nike and Iris van Herpen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if anyone doesn't know, Iris van Herpen is a fashion designer who focuses on sustainability.
Oh,
She
nice.
has very sculptural pieces that have biomimicry, which is a digitalized um, intim- uh, interpretation and imitation of um, bio organic things.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, so what I wanted to do was techno-Gaianism was the main focus of the project.
Mm-hmm.
Techno-Gaianism is the balance between um, nature, technology, and society by developing uh, green eco technology to restore Earth's biosphere and maintain it. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of meta modern synthesis while you're working with different um, industries that come together. So the creative field, science, social, economics, political, they all come together to help restore Earth to its previous state and also maintain it. You'll see a lot of inspirations of techno-Gaianism and a lot of Miyazaki movies.
Okay,
The concept is very prevalent in East and Southeast Asia.
right,
And so when we see like Howl's Moving Castle, where they have this huge like mecha house, but
right,
it's incorporated in a field, and so humans don't become invasive; they become incorporated. So with Nike wanting to work with more women since
right,
their mission in 2019 to incorporate more women designers, and with Iris van Herpen being a luxury brand that's not readily available to the public, I felt like there
right.
were two white spaces that could fulfill each other. They can work with a very beautiful and powerful brand, Nike that is, and Iris can have the opportunity to provide her product on a mass market without having to invest in any manufacturing,
Okay,
because Nike has more or less a vertical supply chain.
right, exactly. Yep.
So I focused on the consumer and talked about their needs. Since COVID, there has been an interest in the outdoors. And a lot of people started hiking during COVID because that was one of the only things that they could do.
Right,
And that's still a very like a prevalent focus for consumers today, even though COVID has been, um, well, not COVID, but since quarantine is over for like a year and a half now, people
right,
are still very interested in outdoor activities and physical activity as well.
right.
Um, and so, with people being more conscious of the outdoors, they became more aware of their human footprints
Mm-hmm.
and how they affected the environment. So, we wanted to provide, and I'm saying we like I'm working at Nike already. Um, we
You
wanted
will.
to provide a product that would allow the person to be aware of their sustainability while also not losing visual aesthetics. Because a lot of times when someone thinks of a sustainable brand, they think of very minimalistic brands, very
Mm,
sharp lines, very plain, monochromatic, meaning
yeah,
neutral.
nude colors or a nude tone
Yeah,
or yeah,
very mute.
yeah.
So I wanted to design something that would allow you to play your part
Mm-hmm.
um, without compromising on your visual style. So I looked at previous collections of Iris, and
Yeah.
she did a macro view of the earth, her last collection that I was working off of at the time, which was 2009. No. 2020. I think it's 2020.
Mhm.
I was looking at the macro view because she had like this campaign with her falling from. Uh oh, can't see you.
No. What happened?
I can hear you though, but I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm seeing you perfectly fine. It's
Okay.
interesting.
Should I keep talking?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she had like this skydiver wearing her garments, and you could see her like the horizon. And so
Right.
what I wanted to do was do a microscopic point of view of the Earth, and I wanted to show the connectivity between fibers, nature, technology, and humans. Because if you do a close up on a leaf
Yeah.
or the iris or fibers
Mm-hmm.
and like techwear, they have very similar patterns. And I wanted to show that we are all interconnected. And I wanted to show that through the clothing. I designed a lot of pieces that were easy to style up or down because
Mm-hmm.
people are hybrid now for
Right.
work. So there was like just a regular bodysuit with like no detail that you can easily just throw a blazer over, or you could just take it off and just go jogging. And low key, if you put a pants with it and high heels, you could wear it to the club. I wanted to design things
Mm.
that was easy to wear, and because people have
Wow.
a tight budget as well, I wanted them to like, if I'm getting this garment, I can wear this garment as many times as I want.
Right.
So I
No,
think,
that's amazing. And I see why you won. Because you
thank
thought
you.
of no, I mean I saw it before, but now that you re explained it, uh it's not just about see the cross section of functional art where you're talking like music, graphic designer, fashion designer. Yeah, and I spoke to the two about this. I had the two on the podcast at one
Oh, I
point.
can't wait to watch that. I love him.
Yeah. No, we had a great time, and it's funny. We'll get on that story, but he went to Ghana. My wife went to Ghana. I was like, hey, I have a friend in Ghana, and they met. It was great. Natu was an amazing person, and the moment I
Yes.
met him in the technical drawing department, everyone was crowded around him because he was like drawing something that wasn't even technically drawing driven. I was like, this kid is talented. He ended up publishing two books with me, illustrations from my sister's books.
Oh,
Um, and my sisters had stories in from 2020 COVID. I'm at home working from home at the time, and I'm hearing the stories. I'm like, this really are really good stories. Like you guys have a knack for storytelling. They're like, yeah, but we don't know how to draw. And I was like, I know a guy.
no, guy.
I know a guy who could make this happen. So it was just great working with him. But I say that to say that the professional realm that you guys are in, right? It's not just about the art. It's also everything that encompass the art. So you looked at supply chain, you looked at market trends of being in COVID, you looked at sustainability, which is a big topic for Gen X and millennials, and you looked at the cost and the efficiency and the functionality. So you didn't just design something that was pretty, you designed something that was functional, cost effective, and so all that coming together is I would pick you as a winner too. I mean, it makes sense, right? So no, it's that's good. So you presented it. You finally finished with the scholarship presentation. Now it's time to get to were you in France? Is this where you
Um,
were?
uh, when after I won that one, I went to Milan.
Oh, you went to Milan. Nice,
Yeah. So
nice,
Milan was 2022, and then this year I went to Paris.
interesting. So it wasn't just a one. It wasn't one summer. It was multiple spaces. Like
Yes.
that's interesting. That's a really nice internship, huh?
Yes. So
Oh,
I interned with Off White last year,
yeah.
and then I interned with Loewe this year.
Okay. What's it like being in Europe versus being in the US? What's it like working as an intern for a high fashion brand?
Um, I have always, I've been saying it to myself for years. I'm looking for a creative home, and I've never found a creative home. I've
Mm,
never been in a creative space where I'm like, absolutely, this is it. There's always
right.
like, maybe I should do something else, or I'm bored of this.
Yeah.
When I stepped through the doors of Off White and I saw the mood boards, I was like, oh, this is definitely what I'm supposed to do. This is
Nice.
so I have more um, European sensibilities.
Okay.
And I think it's just because like Jamaica is British.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I connect more with Europeans
Hmm.
in general. Milan was amazing. I do love Milan.
Oh, do you?
The
Nice.
food was great. The vibe was amazing. I do like the architect. I love the architecture. I know Milan is a little bit more modern city, but like there are back alleyways
Okay.
that are more with more old architecture besides the Duomo and like the old churches and monuments and stuff like that. I would
Right.
walk in the direction of my home, turn off the GPS, make a wrong turn, walk for a while and get lost, and then turn back on the GPS and walk home so I can explore different parts of the city.
Mm, that's cool. That's a cool way to do
Yes,
that.
I
Yeah.
loved it. The so one of the things I did learn about working in luxury was that it is fast paced,
Okay.
and sometimes it's a lot simpler than people think. I'll see
Mm,
people like interpret fashion um runways and be like, "Oh, the designer was trying to do blah blah blah," and this connects back to their childhood. And I'm like, dude, I can tell you sometimes it's just like, yo, wouldn't this be funny if we just put a flower right on the nipples? Like that would be hilarious, right? It
oh, that's good.
like we're legitimately pulling your leg a lot of the times. Like we not all designers take it that seriously.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Well, it's funny because like that cross section of art and business, there's a lot of money being made in there. Like if you
yeah,
think about luxury fashion and companies, one of the top earning company right now after this whole dip in the market is LVMH. One of
yes,
And I
yes,
mean, you're talking about Christian Dior, you're talking about owning Hennessy,
yes,
owning Louis Vuitton, owning Tiffany Co. They bought it recently, and
yeah,
it's everything. It's culture. Culture is influence, and
yes,
influence. Right? And they have their pulse on influence,
yes,
and so you can't. If you talk to any large marketing director, they're like, "How can we influence culture?" They don't say like, "We have a campaign." How can we influence culture? Because the
right,
moment it becomes cultural, you get free marketing. Like, how many
yeah,
times do rappers bring up Christian Dior or buying a bag for a girl? It's like you
yeah,
get free publicity. Even with like 50 Cent or Jay-Z, anything they touch is going to turn to gold.
oh yeah, for
You
sure,
make a song, and I'm going to put Ciroc in the song. Every time we're making a video, Ciroc is going to get poured out. It's like, and it just compounds over time. So you drive that business outside, you get in sales on your music side, you're going on tours. Ciroc is a sponsor of the tour, and it's just, there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of lucrative deals happen in luxury fashion, luxury music, any sort of art endeavor that
mhm,
ties in business is lethal, completely lethal.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, I completely
so
agree. And they're starting to, how do I say this politically correctly? They're starting to get rid of the middleman in
mm,
regards to access to the culture, and they're just hiring people that are directly intact with the culture. And a lot of Black people influence culture. So we're
right,
seeing a lot more Black creative directors or senior
right,
designers in the fashion industry. There's still room for improvement and growth for sure.
mhm,
But like
right.
even working at Loewe, Loewe is one of the most diverse fashion brands I've ever worked with.
Oh,
When I say
nice.
so diverse, It was crazy. Like everyone had a different background. I was on the menswear team, and
Hmm.
the lead designer was an Italian man, Alberto.
Okay.
And then the senior designers were Giacomo, who was also Italian, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
He was French, and Josta, who was a Dutch man, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And then the designers, the associate designers, one was
Right.
Mexican and the other was from the UK, and one was Austrian Chinese. And then the intern was me, the Jamaican girl, and right. Um, and so that was just my team. And
Right.
then there are other people from different backgrounds. Like everyone came from everywhere in the world,
That's
everywhere.
amazing.
So like Peru, Chile, Venezuela, the States, um, different parts of Europe, Chinese, Korean. Yeah, it was really Japanese. Like there are so many different types of people. And of course there was a lot of black people too. So like
Right.
the person that I think was in charge of all the textiles downstairs was a black youth who was very pro black. Like this
Right.
man was pro black and
Right.
it was just normal. Like no one questioned anything.
I love that these brands well, you know what? Brands have always recognized it, um, in a sense of like maybe not in the design room, but they understand the cultural influence of other cultures, and they take those points and they wrap it up and they package it out to people and sell
Yes,
it, right?
yes,
But you know, their products like that are going to always be amazing because they're, I wouldn't say they're chameleon, but they recognize what people want,
yes,
and
yes.
they take it and they redesign it in a way that people even want it even more.
Mm, yeah.
So that's amazing. I'm happy you had that opportunity to intern and get to see the different creatives because you're learning from creatives like yourself that was in high school in Jamaica. This person was in high school in France or high school
Right.
in Germany. They had the same sort of like, what do I want to do? I want to do fashion, and then
Fashion.
you all are in one area. That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
And age is not a problem. So like there are people that were older than me
Hmm.
and then there were people that were younger.
I
And like
love that. I love the diversity in age
yes,
groups
it
because
was amazing. Not all fashion companies are like that, admittedly, but
yeah.
Loewe and I mean Loewe is the top brand this year.
Mm, for
Um
that very reason.
yeah, it's and Jonathan is an amazing creative director.
Right.
He's he really pushes us. Um and it can be exhausting for some,
Right.
rightfully so, but it's so rewarding at the end. It really is.
Yeah.
And it forces you as a creative to like really think. Like you can't just do the first thing that's on your mind. You got to do something different. And like
Right.
it forces you to realize the amount of influence and inspiration in the world besides your bubble. So you have to like you're forced to go outside of your mind. It's really nice. I enjoyed the experience a lot.
No, it's good because like a good creative director is, and this any project based environment, creativity or even in construction, the reason why a person like an iron worker or a electrician comes to work and beats themselves up every day to put the steel in or wire cables is that feeling that towards the end of a project
Yes.
that this was built and I built it and I was a part of this project team. You have the engineers, the architect, construction managers, the owner, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, everyone's coming together at this moment in time. For 2 years, I've been out in Minnesota building this. I'm building a Verizon data center,
Oh,
and yeah, it's been a very interesting build. Trying to break ground in February when there's frost in the ground. We had to put down heating blankets for like maybe like a month and or 3 weeks at a time to dig the trenches and
oh,
then
that's
put the foundation.
crazy.
Yeah, it gets crazy. It gets crazy. But I find that there's always cross section between industries. A good electrician is every I think every industry has an art and a science to it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so once you kind of figure out what your industry needs and what you are good at in your industry and what you're not good at, that's also helpful. and finding ways to either better it or offload that to someone else who is very good at it,
Right.
then you enjoy what you do.
Right. Right.
How do you feel about this like ever change? I was talking about data centers. Data centers whole cloud computing and AI is now like the most talk about topic. Especially with creatives, AI is in the workplace now. AI is being used or not used. How do you feel as a fashion designer and this AI evolution?
I'm not scared of it.
Okay,
Um, the same panic that people have in the creative industry in regards to AI is the same panic that people had about photography.
true, true,
Because now you don't need a portrait painter
right.
any-
You don't.
anymore, right? Like everyone that did portrait paintings or scenery or anything, you don't need that anymore. You can just take a picture, and creatives lost their mind.
Oh,
Like,
right.
we're going out of business. You don't need us anymore. It's the devil. Um, but today we still have people that paint,
100%.
right?
Yep.
And so with AI, um, I think it's going to be a tool that is utilized by the creative industry.
Hmm.
Um, and once people are less afraid of it and realize that they're not going to necessarily lose their job, they're just going to have to adapt their roles in the
Right.
industry, it will be a lot more calmer. Um, one, because like AI just takes previous information and then develops it.
Right.
So the point is like it needs something previous to work with. It needs something to start off with. So you're
Right.
never really going to be out of business. You are always
Right.
going to be the center of this idea and aesthetic. You're just having a tool develop that faster for you. And AI is not perfect. Like there are still flaws with like a lot of AI renderings. And people know when it's AI now.
Right. Your eyes can pick it up. Yeah.
I just can pick it up. Now there are some artists who unfortunately have done like highly hyper realistic arts of works of art, and so now their stuff looks like AI when it was actually hand done. Um
Mm.
and so there is that problem. However, when photography happened, if I'm not mistaken, instead of artwork looking more realistic, it became more stylistic.
Okay.
And so
Yes.
instead of doing hyperrealism, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a more diverse interpretation of styles. Because now you have to move it away from hyperrealism to make people know that it's not actually AI.
Yeah, that is why impressionism happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
I
Yep.
think it's going to force artists to step instead of trying to aim for perfection visually, aim for feeling.
Mm.
And so it's just a challenge, and people are just freaking out because you've invested so much time in perfecting this thing.
Right.
So now I have to learn something else. It's cool. It's
Right.
fine.
That's a good approach to it. I like chat because there are mundane things that I have to get done. Like sometimes someone comes to you about a recommendation, and I can write out what I'm feeling about the person recommendation. I can take it with their resume and say, with this information I provide you, write a recommendation for this person. 5 minutes, I have a recommendation written.
Yeah.
I can review it, see what I like, what I don't like, and I can get it back to the person faster than
Right.
if I had to spend, oh, let me carve out 2, 3 hours on a Saturday to write this recommendation. I've carved out 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and I've gotten it back to the person. And it's phenomenal. It's exactly what I meant to write, right? So
Exactly.
I think to me, it's just it's a tool. It's like the computer, like it's just a tool that can be used to help you become more efficient and get mundane tasks done quickly and
Hmm.
move on. So
Exactly.
now going through, we're all high achieving persons working very hard, but there are moments of low energy, tragedy, tiredness from just like being offbeat with having ADHD and like missing tasks or things time lapse, being late somewhere. Does the day feels like it's conspiring against you? Like all the activities decided on a Sunday, to plan how they're going to
Right.
mess your week up, right? And
Right.
we're going to do it at the same time, not
Hmm.
like sequentially. No, 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 no.
No,
We're
no,
going
no,
to
no.
come at you at the same time.
At
You're
the
going to
same
have to
time,
figure it
absolutely.
out. How do you deal with your low energy moments, and like how do you recover from
That is something that I'm still learning.
it? Okay.
I do not have a perfect answer for that. Um, right now, I am learning to give myself time.
Okay. Nice.
Um, actually give myself rest. It is very important, and I'm also learning to be proactive instead of reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even if it's not going to happen, just do it anyway. Do it now, um, so you don't have to do it later because you never know, something might pop up.
Right.
Um, and give myself realistic deadlines for things, including rest. Right.
Right.
Um, an hour is not enough time for me. It's not. I need a longer break, and I know this because it
Right.
takes me an hour to stop thinking about work. So,
Mm,
like, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to take an hour break," don't lie to yourself. You need 2 hours. So now you need to adjust everything else around the amount of time that you need for yourself instead of adjusting the time you need for yourself for everything else. Um,
makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
so I just need to develop efficiencies instead of working harder and longer. And so that's how I've been dealing with that. Right now, I'm in between jobs and I
Okay.
had like a few offers, but I'm just looking to see where are the best ones. And
Right.
I'm resting now. I'm just going to rest now. I was going to do like a bunch of projects while I was
Right.
looking for a job. And I'm like, no, it's take a break because I've been going for 2 years.
Right.
Just need to take a nap.
Right.
Um, but I still I still find myself doing things. So I entered a competition recently and I won two. And I was like, yeah, this is my idea of taking a break. I just entered one thing, just one.
Right.
So, but we're getting better at it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're growing people, right? Like it's not something that you're gonna have figured out now, but I think the intention is to have the thought process of thinking about it because I think a large majority of people they self sabotage themselves. Like if you could just avoid self sabotage and just focus on the things you need to focus on, that alone will get you where you need
Oh
to
yeah,
go.
for sure. Absolutely.
So like for me, I always think about inverting the problem. Like for instance,
Mm,
I, especially when we used to do probability, right? Like instead of trying to find the probability of this event happening, it's probably easier to find the probability of the event not happening and then minusing it from one, and you
right,
back your way into the problem. So I'm trying to get somewhere. Um, I just need to avoid the things that would stop me from getting there, and then I'm
right,
going to get there,
right,
right? So that helps a lot. For me personally, it's like, all right, well, everyone has a tendency or thought pattern, like when they're under immense amount of stress, to do things that are not advantageous to
yes,
dealing with the stress, right?
yes, yes,
In fact, I love working out. I love going to the gym. That's my thing. Like that's my stress reliever, right? But there are moments where you just can't get to the gym
yeah,
because of how much stress you have. But it doesn't negate the fact that I should be eating clean, right?
yes, 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 yes,
So even though I can't get to the gym, I shouldn't be hurting myself by eating just junk food because I feel so stressed about all the stuff that's on my plate to get done.
right,
Whereas if I just eat decent, I feel a little better. And in the moment where I can't go in gym, it's like you're getting back into the motion. You're not fighting your own self at this point and beating yourself up about not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
right.
But no, that's the encompassing of just being a good human to yourself. I think people just need to be more caring to themselves.
Yes, yes, more kind.
Yeah, be kind to everyone else but yourself. So,
Yeah.
what do you do for enjoyment? Like, what's your thing to do outside of work that you enjoy doing?
Yo, I love reading webtoons, yo. I like reading the
Okay.
most mundane, stupid, like I don't want to think. I don't
Right.
want to think at all. So I love webtoons. Um I do enjoy walking. I don't particularly like walking on my side of town. I like walking in the
Okay.
city because it's more stimulus for me
Okay.
visually. Um, I like playing video games too. Um,
Okay. You're a gamer. Okay. Nice.
yeah, baby gamer, baby
Okay.
gamer. Yeah.
Got you.
So like I've been playing Loop Hero and Civ recently.
Hmm.
I love playing Tetris. I got into some Final Fantasy games at one point. Final Fantasy 7 and 12.
Okay.
And then I also played Fire Emblem for a little bit.
Okay.
So like I've gotten into gaming, and if I'm not playing the game myself, I am absolutely watching the gameplay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
big thing. Yeah.
yeah, because like, dude, low key, you're never gonna catch me playing Dark Souls. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen. I'm not doing that. But
100%.
I'll
Yeah.
watch someone die repeatedly for sure.
So it's
Absolutely.
funny. It's funny you say that because I used to be a huge gamer, right? Like I used to play games so much between like 12th grade. Like that was my thing, right? And it's funny when I passed for Arden, my dad was supposed to get me a PlayStation 2, which he did. But my stepmom was like, when Ramadan comes, 'cause I used to travel to the US, New York,
Hmm.
and I would spend the summers in New York, and then I would come back to Jamaica and finish school. And those summers, I would literally stay up the whole night
Oh yes.
gaming, and I would wake up at like 2 o'clock, like dinner's getting prepared, or like all right, or 5 o'clock. I've woken up at 5 p.m. already. Eat dinner, back to gaming.
Oh yeah. Look, look. When I was younger, Tekken Tag.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my shit.
No.
Oh my god, I used to play so much Tekken Tag, and I was so good at it. And I would
Yup.
play for hours.
Yup.
Yes,
Yup.
yes, until
So
we Monans. Yeah.
my stepmom, she's a teacher, and she was like, hey, Ramon has like a strong affection to gaming. He should not have the PlayStation 2 in Jamaica when he's going through high school. He should only have access to the PlayStation 2 when he's here, where we can monitor him. Because his mom is working and he's gonna be home alone. And what do you think he's gonna do? You think he's doing homework? He's not doing homework. He's gonna game. So that was like soul crushing at the time. But then it forced me to go and find friends. I have some friends that I have for years. They're still in my friend group through gaming, because we played games for eons of time after school. Area 51,
Yeah, I
remember
remember
that
Area.
Arden?
Yeah.
So I used to go down there and play games, but I got to a point where I can't game anymore because I have so much things on my plate. But I do wanna. I enjoy the storytelling of gaming, so I
Yes.
got into watching the games. Literally, go on YouTube. All right, okay, this guy's doing not a speed run because sometimes speed runs they cut the scenes.
Yeah.
They're just showing you the game
Yeah.
play. But I want to know the story.
Yes.
I want
Yes.
to see how this kind of evolves. So yeah, I find a good one. I hate commentary. I hate when they're talking when they're playing the game. Like stop talking. I don't want to hear your voice.
Yes, dude.
I just want you to play the game like if I was playing the game. But I can't play the game, so just play the game, lose a little bit, win a little bit, and just get through the game so I can get to the story.
Yeah. The
So,
good thing is my whole family are gamers.
oh, are they nice?
Yeah. My boyfriend's a gamer. My
Nice.
aunts and uncles, everyone's a gamer. So if I can't play, I will like, especially my aunt, because
Yeah.
I like the way that she plays games more than my boyfriend. Because my
Mm.
boyfriend is a professional gamer, so when
Oh,
he plays,
nice.
he just he fires through them, and I'm like, no, no,
Mm.
no, 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 you don't understand. I need to read what's happening, and he's like,
Right.
well, this is happening. I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. I want to read it myself, so I don't really play with him.
Hmm.
Um, I watch my aunt play, and so we
Yeah.
played like Far Cry. When I say we, I yell at her to go left.
Okay.
Backseat gamer. Oh, and we played Zero Dawn. Is it Zero Dawn? Horizon?
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. That's a great
Horizon.
game. I
Yes.
never played it, but I watched it. It's
It
a
was
good game.
so good. I'm
Yeah.
so good. We have the second one that we haven't played yet, so we're gonna play that
But
soon.
it's excellent. It's an
Yeah,
excellent
but
game.
I'll just watch my family members play, and then I'll have like my sketchbook or my laptop working, and they're
Yeah.
playing in the background. So I'm like constantly looking up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I got to a point where even watching the games took too long, so I just watch the reviews now. I watch a couple videos, and then I even with sports watching, like I used to watch a lot of sports because I find like when I was at Arden, I went through a lot of different cliques. Like I would walk over with
Yeah,
Jonathan click by the tree by the library, and we'd have dope conversation about anime and all of that stuff,
but
and
you
then
could
I
also
would
go to
leave.
the basketball court too, right?
Yeah, well, I was always in the weight room. So
Mm,
because I was always in the weight room, that's where all the sports press I hang out with the track guys, the basketballers come in there for weight training. But I'm always in the weight room lifting. So I ended up, clicking up with some of the basketballers or the tracks person or the soccer guys because I'm always in the weight room lifting and they come in to do their weight training, right? And I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. You did an amazing job with the work that you've done for your career and what you're doing. I can't wait to see the future creative director of whatever company you decide to be a fashion designer at. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time.